Alright guys, welcome to episode 5 of Podcast Prime. I'm bladelordcal, I'm your host. So today we've got 3 guests. So we've got the birthday boy, C-Cal. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great.
We've got Nick3570, how are you?
Doing alright.
And hailing all the way from Germany, we've got Darky. How are you, buddy?
Hello, I'm fine.
So for today's show, we've got a little bit of, stuff to talk about. We've got the August patch notes. Patch came out this Wednesday. We've got the responsiveness stream that also happened Wednesday, I believe, to talk about. Last weekend was Gotham Heights ranked. I wasn't actually part of that, but I heard people's opinions and stuff, so we could talk about that. And then finally, for like the last kind of topic, we've got the NA ESL race for 4th place. And I think it's less of a race now, but we're just gonna dive in. So we're gonna start with the what's called June Update 3, and I say that with air quotes, but it's actually basically the August patch. So, I don't know why they call it June Update Patch 3. It's, like, kind of weird. But, whatever.
Well, do you actually not know why they call it, or are you just questioning why?
I'm like 100% serious.
They call it because they refer to it as the last major update, which was in June, and then they just named the smaller patches after that update. So the next big update is going to be in September.
Right.
So then they'll just refer to the next smaller patches after that, the September update, patch 1, patch 2, patch 10, and so on.
That's a bit weird to me, but whatever. It doesn't matter. Alright, so let's go into general changes. Fix an issue that may cause a champion to become stuck if they attempt to use super strength on an object at the same time as another champion. Have you guys seen that? Or is it just whatever?
They cause a champion to become stuck.
So I guess
stuck in the animation? Yeah, I've seen that.
Alright.
I haven't.
Store, Greek Goddess of Wonder Woman's wallpaper has been updated, a new version.
Looks pretty awesome.
It looks pretty awesome. It was already a really awesome costume. Fix an issue that could cause some champions to use a skill without having enough of the required resource, will rage, etc. Fix an issue that could cause some sound effects get stuck on your champion. Sometimes they still get stuck.
This one.
I think they still get stuck. Cause
I've noticed it. I just remember the Green Lantern W and someone.
Yeah.
Oh my
god. So fix an issue that would affect the duration of the empowerment on SciSim. Fixed a bug that could cause modern cars to change color when damaged.
Yeah, that one.
Stop chipping off that paint. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Blue Freeze hates that. Like, he would rage in the middle of our games because their cars were changing colors.
Converted the Holt Holdings mod on Fragment of Mogo to give 75 health instead of attack armor. I think they kind of overlooked that when they changed Mogo to be power armor. So like you could get this mod, get a little bit of attack armor too, which made it, I don't know. I thought Mogo was good with that, but matchmaking made a few changes to the matchmaking system that should cause it to create matches slightly faster by targeting the player/group who has been in queue for the longest. As always, please give us feedback in the forums. And the kind of ironic part about this is right after they released the patch, they said, guys, sometimes you won't get match made in queue, so womp womp.
I thought the bug was just not allowing people to queue up in the first place.
I think that's also part of it.
But they fixed it, so
yeah.
No, that bug was fixed in the patch the day after.
Right.
Yeah, it's still fixed, but anyway, moving on. Gotham Divided. The respawn timers on Gotham Divided have been increased after 20 minutes into the match. For the new respawn timers, the Icy Fantasist post in the development roadmap forums. We talked about this a little bit on the last episode of Podcast Prime, but now that it's actually live and we've had a couple of days to fiddle around with it, what are your guys' opinions on the increased death timers?
Well, I think being able to it's twofold. My opinion is twofold. Being able to end the game feels really good. Feels good to like win a team fight and then win the game. That's kind of how I feel like it should go. But at the same time, I feel like it's too sudden. Like you're rolling along and it's just the same, and then all of a sudden it's 25 minutes and people die and it's a big deal. Like all of a sudden, and it's not like it like. A little bit of it is that we're not used to the new death timers, but a little bit of it is that the transition is not smooth. Like you get to 25, 30 minutes, and all of a sudden your death timer explodes.
I don't know. I kind of like it because...
I like it overall. I would definitely prefer it this way, but maybe there could be tweaks.
Well, I mean, you can now come back easier than before because you can actually get something if you win a team fight. And you can also finish the game faster, so I like the change.
Nick, do you have anything to add?
Nah, pretty much just agree with everything. Like, we just saw it in the last game with PSL. Like, pretty much the only big team fight, and that just was, you pushed down 4 towers and ended the game after that one fight.
Yeah, that was... I thought that was like pretty insane. So in case people don't know what we're talking about, in the finals of Go for IC number 13, casted by yours truly, humble brag, no. Team C won a team fight against Brawl, and right after that team fight they pushed down 2 mid turrets and then 2 power core turrets and ended the game at 35 minutes. And that was kind of my first experience with like the death timers. Like I've played and like so I know like the death timers are long, but I didn't think it would be like that long at the 35-minute mark. Especially since it was a pretty even game. At the like going back and forth in the early game, but once that team fight just kind of happened and 5 people died from Brawl, it was just like, oh, this game's over. And it was... Go ahead.
I think that's how it should be. If you get 5 for 1 while you're at their inner tower and you like kill it like during the team fight, the game should pretty much be over. At 35 minutes, that's how it should work. It just feels awkward right now, I think, because it escalates so quickly, the death timers. I don't know if there's a way to get around it.
Right.
But I like it. This is good. The way it's working is good.
Alright, moving on. The movement speed on drones has been increased from 300 to 320. The siege drones' movement speed has been increased from 300 to 318. So, the drones move faster now. That means you can, like, they'll get 2 turrets faster and you can, like, kind of siege a little bit more. What are you guys' thoughts?
I don't know. I haven't really noticed anything.
Doesn't matter. I guess it's just nice.
I think it was relevant in our last game. The creep wave got there just in time for us to be able to finish well. So if the creep wave had been like 10 seconds slower, we might not have been able to finish.
Right. Turrets are now capped at lower levels earlier in the match, making them weaker beyond the 20-minute mark and easier to siege. So, I think a big problem before all of these turret changes and like the drone changes and death timers was the fact that the turrets were really difficult to siege, actually. Especially when you could have someone who's pretty good at wave code, like a Joker, like a Star Sapphire, just absolutely demolish a drone wave. And it was just really difficult, and I don't know what's going on outside, but something's happening. Anyway, So, what are your guys' thoughts on like turrets being easier to kill? Is it like helping in ending the game just a lot faster?
I didn't really notice it, to be honest.
Well, Darky, how fast were your games today? Because our games today all ended like somewhere around 30 minutes. Like,
yeah,
I think it was like 29, 33, 35.
Yeah, but I think that's mostly because of the death timers.
Yeah. I think they all contribute to it a little bit, but...
Yeah, you don't really notice those changes, to be honest.
Yeah.
Nick, you have anything to add?
No, not really.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's just a culmination of everything we noticed, just decreasing the time of the game, which is now where they want it to be.
Right. So moving on, stolen power changes. So super strength, large object throw now applies a 20% slow for 2 seconds. Damage increased by numbers. I don't want to get too into it. AoE size is reduced though, from 300 to 250, but the range is reduced as well from 950 to 900. So we've, at least in the 1v1 tournaments, I know that's not relevant at all to competitive play, but we've been seeing a lot of people take super strength.
You know, it's kind of relevant.
It's a little bit relevant. I mean, 1v1 tournaments aren't like, you know, the best judge of competitive viability. But
okay, I see how it is. Dick.
I'm sorry. But, so we've been seeing super strength a little bit more in there. Because Darky, correct me if I'm wrong, but we've seen super strength being used like top lane in EU, right?
Yeah, and used it a bit. I don't know.
So
it just depends on your place here.
Right.
You can take it to like open up paths, and I don't know.
Do you think this will bring super strength more into viability? Because I know like some people like taking it and stuff, but usually it's like not really taken.
I read this as a nerf, so I would not think so.
Honestly, I don't know who you would take this on. Like, who's supposed to take super strength? The top laner, if you take it, you either lose teleport or wards or whatever.
Supergirl? Supergirl jungle?
Supergirl jungle.
Maybe. But you
She's
can
got
also
the speed buff.
Yeah, but you can also take the slow instead, which also helps. So.
Also, I would never pick up a large object. I always pick up a small one.
I would pick up a large object in lane all the time. you could 3 nerf. You could chunk people like 500 damage at like 15 minutes.
Yeah, well,
and it was awesome.
They decreased the damage here, so if anything, that makes it worse.
Yeah. Alright, moving on. Teleport. Cooldown increased from 360 seconds to 420 seconds. 420. When teleporting to a turret, teleport's cooldown is reduced by 120 seconds. So, teleport has been a stolen power that's been seeing a lot of, you know, competitive play, just because it's very, very good in like this organized kind of setting where you can like, you know, TP to things and create gank opportunities and stuff. So, I want to fledge this question more to Achiri because he's a top laner. What do you think of the teleport changes? And obviously, it's still super viable and it's like pretty mandatory top lane. But do you think that the nerfs to it might open up other stolen powers, like I don't know, invulnerability or something, up in that top lane?
Well, yeah. So in NA, we pretty much all take TP top. And I don't foresee that changing, especially because it's a lot nicer now for us when we TP to our towers. And the reason there was so much TP before in this game as compared to others is because the map is really big. Right. And so having huge teleport plays is like really, really good because the map is so big. They've been consistently nerfing the cooldown. And I can tell you that when you use it not on your tower, it feels like it takes a year for it to come back up. So I think maybe you'll see fewer people on the team take it, but I'm pretty sure you'll still see the top laners take it, at least in NA.
Okay.
I feel kind of the same. I actually think that TPs just led to more ganks on the bottom lane. Like, it's basically the entire early game happens on bottom lane, except for EMP, and I don't know. It was just pretty annoying, so I like this.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I think it's just still too essential not to take with the size of the map.
The real problem with teleport is that the map is too big. So teleport will be less of a necessary thing if in 6 months they redesign the map and it's smaller, which I'm fine for. Like it's not awful. You know?
Okay. Moving on. Surveillance camera deployment range increased from 400 to 500, but Green Arrow's cams got nerfed. Charges reduced from 3 to 2. Darky, your take.
Yeah, I also really like this change. I kinda dislike the previous patch where they decreased the range on the base wards because you can't put them over the tri-bush wall, tri-pad wall, whatever anymore. But this now kinda makes up for it because you can more safely face check with them, and the green arrow wards, it was a needed change. And it makes the other camps and also X-ray more viable.
During the ESL, I noticed a lot of people taking, I think it was Robin's cams?
Yep.
Yeah.
So GS took Gasback cams the final game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really understand why, but...
It's all that vision.
I take either Robin or Green Arrow.
Yeah.
And for top lane specifically, I still definitely prefer Green Arrow because I find myself backing before I would use, 4 cams. And at that point, it's more useful for me to deny vision than to have 1 more cam. In bot lane, you're way more flexible because you have 4 powers and you can take X-ray along, like Darky was saying, you can take X-ray along with Robin cams. So I really like the change a lot. Opens up some new opportunities other places on the map. In addition, with Green Arrow cams just being maybe a little bit too good. So.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, just agreeing. It's kind of necessary when it's the only one of the only ways of clearing vision.
Yeah, ever since PAX, I think Green Arrow cams, or even before PAX, it was always, oh, you're taking cams, you have to take Green Arrow cams or else you're at a pretty huge disadvantage just because if you put your cam down, they have Green Arrow cams, they'll just clear out yours and then you have no vision and it's what do? I can't do anything unless I have my own Green Arrow cams to counter their Green Arrow cams, and just created this vicious cycle. So I'm glad that these nerfs kind of open up, more cam kind of what's it called?
Options.
Yeah, options. Thank you. So, healing wave range increased from 300 to 400. It's whatever.
Whatever.
Quality of life healing change.
Alright, moving on. Champion bug fixes. Cyborg fixed an issue that could lead to Cyborg getting into a stuck state. So if I remember right, it's just his dance. If you dance with him or something, he'll just get stuck.
Yeah, until you cast a skill.
Yeah. So I guess that was annoying for the cyborgs that danced after they kill someone or something. Atrocitus fixed an issue that could cause game performance to degrade when Atrocitus is healing. Alright, whatever. Moving on. I don't think anyone has anything to say about that. Atrocitus. The output of Atrocitus' passive was a little bit lower than we intended and was not rewarding the Atrocitus player who focused on durability and soaking hits for his team. His passive now has a bonus 1% health ratio, or 1% bonus health ratio.
Still pretty bad.
Yep.
I don't even know what his passive does, so...
It's the damage every time you get hit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Little AoE.
Little AoE.
Still just needs a cooldown reduction on his Q to really be effective, I think.
Alright.
Something.
Cyborg. We are increasing Cyborg's base move speed and charged burst slow potency so that he can more effectively secure kills and potentially escape ganks. Base move speed increased by 5. Charge burst slow increased from 20 to 25%. Tools tip has been corrected to say that charge burst refreshes the duration of the tracer sharp mark. Was this what Cyborg needed? Because I've been saying
Cyborg?
for... Go ahead.
I think Cyborg's pretty good.
Yeah, Cyborg's the strongest late game carry. So,
I think the problem is in lane, if you get ganked, you're always CC'd, so slow or move speed don't really help you.
Yeah. I don't know.
But I think now with the GA cam nerf, you'll be able to see more ganks coming. More
maybe.
You'll be able to survive.
I always felt like the key with Cyborg was just having enough like heals or shields that you could survive the initial burst. Because he walks away from a fight better than any other AD carry. Like, without using an escape, he can just kind of walk away. So, I don't know. I like him. I think he's good. We played him today against Surreal.
Okay. Green Arrow. So, Green Arrow, the micro cooldown change, is meant to improve Green Arrow's fluidity, allowing him to more easily swap stances based on the flow of battle. Additionally, Ballistic Arrow is doing a bit more damage than we wanted, and with his overall efficacy improving, we needed a reduction. So all stances have a half-second cooldown instead of a 1-second cooldown when you swap between them. And the damage on W got reduced by 5, 10, 15, or 5? Yeah, 5, 15, 25, 35. So it's... The numbers are on the screen. I don't want to say them again. Green Arrow is still really good, and Darky has been preaching this ever since PAX. E max is the way to go, guys. E is the better skill to max, and us stubborn NA people are like W, W,
Yeah.
W, and Darky's like E, do the E. It's so good. So I think this makes the E better.
The reasoning is basically you get the W before team fights anyways, so why would you waste the damage potential on your E to get your W earlier? I don't know. So
Because you get
in my
that
opinion,
piercing with the ult.
yeah, but if your enemies are that stupid that they stand behind each other in lane, then I don't know. So basically, the E is still OP in lane, in my opinion. It doesn't just change, just buffed his laning phase because of the passive change. I still think the E needs a nerf.
Yeah.
I've heard people saying that with the penetration changes, which I guess we'll get to later, that Green Arrow, and with this change here where his micro has been reduced or whatever, the cooldown reduced, that GA is better now than he was last patch.
Yeah. Yes.
That's what I've been hearing.
Okay. So we'll just move on to Green Lantern. The range on Constrict, Green Lantern's W reduced, so he has to put himself a little bit more danger to get, his damage off. Green Lantern's still good, right, guys?
Yeah, I think this nerfed I think this nerfed him on the support role more than mid lane.
So we're just not gonna see Green Lantern support that much anymore, or just...
I don't think so.
We still saw
Wasn't
him
very
today.
popular before.
Yeah, but not as often as before.
Yeah.
Alright, Gaslight Joker. So, Ham Snack, the intent of this skill was to give Gaslight Joker a potent reward for successfully negating an incoming skill. Long duration immediate move speed made it too easy and thus reduced the value of negating a skill. So, Ham Snack no longer grants 10% move speed while the skill shield is active. Skill shield duration reduced from 2 seconds to 1 second. Bonus move speed reduced to blah 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 blah. Also, his health per level got reduced by 10.2. So he's just gonna... Achiri, you reacted to that.
Health per level.
So, almost
I hate it when they hit.
kills.
Yeah, I hate it when they hit base stats of a champion, because those are they're hard to see, but they're almost always as important as the other things that they mention. So that's a pretty huge hit. I've been not playing Gas Joker anyway. Like, we've been banning it in our scrims and stuff, like we had been before, just because we're afraid of it. But it might very well not be as strong as it was before. These changes don't necessarily mean anything. Like, I might play Gas Joker tomorrow and be like, oh, okay, he's still the best champion in the game. But at the same time, I'm not really willing to risk it, but he might be worse.
Right.
I think his power in the early game is obviously still the same, with the sustain from passive and Q. And the late game tankiness came more from items, I think. So this doesn't really change anything.
Well, what I would worry the most about is just even having 30 less health at level 3. That can mean the difference between living and dying in a trade between, like, Superman or Atomic Wonder Woman in the top lane. If you're playing against someone who's got a good aggressive early lane as Gas Joker, it could be a little bit rougher. And especially now it's a little bit harder to hit your spell shield. I don't know. Could be.
But I feel like that's what Gas Joker kind of needed, because you weren't really going to beat him with late game.
Yeah, it's good. It's definitely a step in the right direction. I'm just not really willing to risk it.
Would you guys want to see more aggressive nerfs on him instead of just like these kind of light taps?
Nope.
You mean more aggressive as in Nightmare Superman nerfs across the board?
I'd like it if they buffed everything else instead, actually.
Alright, so we'll move on to Poison Ivy. Thorn Shield's potency is being brought in line with other comparable temp health shields, so the cooldown reduced to 10 seconds at all ranks, and the will scaling has increased. Darky, support player, go!
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still not really gonna play her with the 3 tanky supports. So it's whenever you get caught, you're dead anyways, so I don't know.
We saw a little bit of her being played. Was it Teams? You guys, Team C?
Yeah.
That played it?
Kythus player.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe she works with the new vision. I didn't really try it out yet. I like the change, but I'm not sure if it's gonna help her.
I think that even more than Gas Joker, Poison Ivy Prime is like the best late game in the game. But she's kind of abysmal in lane phase. Just not in a 2v2 scenario. She's fine 2v2, right? Because her passive is crazy. But the way the game works right now, like Darky was saying earlier, it's just like all the pressure is on bot lane. She ends up dying a lot in the early game. So I don't know. Buffs to Poison Ivy, it feels weird because I do think she's extremely strong in the late game, but no one's really playing her, so it sounds good now.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to make her any more viable. Really.
Maybe an increase to her bases instead of her scaling.
Yeah.
Like, increasing her scaling seems weird.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to Sinestro. Yellow Impurity. Missing health on Sawblade changed from numbers to numbers. It's lower early game. There you go. Missing health on Sawblade no longer scales on power damage. Sawblade increased range, increased base damage, increased damage ratio. Dread Scythe, Cone Width reduced. Call the Weak, damage radius reduced. Fear Incarnate, stun duration reduced. Fear duration reduced. Damage reduced. So they kind of nerfed. They didn't really. Alright, so the damage on W and E is the same. Damage on R got nerfed, and Q
got buffed.
Q got buffed. So.
Which is weird because they said they wanted to nerf it.
Right. So.
I was thinking of making a graphic for this math, but
you I guess I would have put it
let...
up. I would have put it up.
I mean, it's just basic algebra, but basically, if he has 500 power damage, and you take pre-nerf Sinestro and post-nerf Sinestro,
right.
Unless the target is missing more than 1700 HP, post-nerf Sinestro will do more damage late game, which is completely contradictory to what they wanted to do.
Well, it says here, they didn't want to, they wanted to increase his skill cap and reduce his CC. So, maybe they were like, let's give him more damage to compensate? I don't know.
They said it was too weak early, but nobody maxes his Q early anyway.
Right.
Because your E can just do 100% power damage ratio by maxing that.
I always did WE passive Q for Sinestro. Yeah. I think that's what a lot of people did too, just because W was pretty easy to land. And then you can like E right after. I don't know, I never found Sinestro's Q very good, but...
I think it's amazing. I think it's going to be pretty strong right now.
Well, right now, I think, like, since they buffed it, it'll be better, but, like, pre-nerf, or nerf, I say nerf in, you know, air quotes, but I didn't like the Q at all. It was just...
I don't think they were intending to nerf him, because his win rate's pretty low. They published that in, like, a forum post, that he had, like, a 40% or 46% win rate or something. It's not very good, so... I don't think their intention was to nerf it, but change it a little bit.
Right.
I don't know.
I think he was... Like they say here, Sinestro is getting too much out of Fear Incarnate. We are reducing the duration of the crowd control and slightly reducing the damage so that the skill is not 100% guaranteed kill. Because that was... I think that was like kind of the biggest problem they had, was like, oh, Sinestro hits 6, and if his jungler comes, like, let's say it's a Nightmare Batman or something, he ults, and they get that CC, and then they can chain it with Nightmare Batman, and then it's like...
I really don't think that his ult was really the problem. It's the fact that you can do 100% power damage on a skill that resets every time you get a kill, which is an AoE. Like, you could dive into a team, kill someone, and do like 700 damage to multiple people. And then do it again.
Damage is, or was kind of a reason that you one-shot people. I mean, it's... I don't know. He's still viable, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, moving on to Star Sapphire. Her move speed got buffed by 5.
Amazing.
Whoop-de-doo.
Really good change.
Really good change?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
She needed it.
Did she just feel too slow? I'm not a big Star Sapphire.
She was the slowest champion in the game if you didn't have her crystal on her. Which was kind of dumb. So definitely needed it.
Okay.
She's still a god.
She's still a god? Alright, Atomic Wonder Woman. Atomic Wonder Woman's move speed passive wasn't working out that well for her, thank god, with the already mobile kit she has. We've changed it to CDR upon reaching full rev, so when hitting full revs, your cooldowns will be lowered by XXXX, whatever. Another thing we did was transfer damage from her second vault activation and put it into her sweep. We felt the utility on the second vault should be used more as an escape after getting a kill as opposed to dealing more damage. Alright, so let's just dive into this. I actually have like a decent amount to say about this because Atomic Wonder Woman is like my favorite champion, and it's been my favorite champion since, oh god, her release when she was absolutely broken. So, alright, increased late game potency, that's fine. Rev no longer grants move speed at full rev. Skill now lowers the cooldowns of skills on cooldown when hitting full rev numbers. So I kind of like it. I haven't messed around with Atomic Wonder Woman too much, but based on my limited experiences of playing with her in this like cool CDR thing, it's kind of just like still irrelevant until you get to that 1 second mark. Because
I feel it's pretty irrelevant until you get your ult. And then you'll feel it with that.
Yeah, it's also irrelevant until you get your ult, because once you get your ult, like I was saying, like you can just stay at 1 rev, like you can E something, and then you can walk up and like W something so you hit a 2 rev, and then you wait until the second rev is gone, then you like E it again, and like you keep lowering the cooldown that way. And I like that on the ult, just because the ult has a long cooldown. We'll get to the ult change cooldown later. But I like the whole CDR kind of thing. at 1 second. Until then, I'm not a fan. Anybody have thoughts?
I think it's still a pretty good passive. Like, once you hit your ultimate, you use it and then you just... It basically lowers the cooldown of like, I don't know, 10 seconds maybe. However, it depends where you play her. If you keep spamming your spells in jungle, then, I don't know. It's pretty good, actually, right. I think.
Yeah, Play to Win thinks it's completely broken. I think it's better than it was before, which is strange, because I thought she was really good before. So now she's a little bit better, I think.
Right.
So.
Okay, here's the change that I do not like out of all of these. So Second Vault does 50% less damage, and I absolutely do not like this change at all. Just because it removes the gameplay dynamic of, like, oh, I'm chasing this guy down, but, like, his teams, or, like, I don't know, it's like, I'm chasing this guy down, like, do I want to commit to the kill and use my Second Vault to close the gap? Or do I just want to let the kill go away and just use it to escape? But now that they reduce the damage on it, like, let's say I needed that extra 50% damage, like the 100% damage or whatever, from Vault to kill someone. Now I'm not going to get that kill and I'm kind of stuck there. And it removes that kind of gameplay dynamic where I can choose, do I want to use my Second Vault offensively or do I want to use it defensively? And it's just like, well, we want you to use it to run away. And I'm like, no, I want to use it to try and kill people.
Okay, so I'm going to argue the opposite. I think that it opens up more gameplay opportunity. Assuming you did your combo the same way, using your Vault aggressively will do the exact same amount of damage, theoretically, I guess, that it would have done before. Like, your full combo will have done the same amount of damage. So if you would have secured the kill with your Second Vault before, you theoretically still secure a kill with your Second Vault. The difference is that you're not running around using your Second Vault for damage all the time, which is good, I think, because I used to always see A-dubs players, like, vaulting twice in place on top of people, and I was like, oh, that looks awful, and, like, it's really, really good for clearing jungle, or it used to be, like, way too good for clearing jungle camps to vault twice in place. And this slows down the jungle clear a little bit, so I like that. I like it. I'm a fan of the change. I think it opens up more decision-making, more unique decision-making than just being like, click my spells on top of you to do the most damage.
Honestly, like, I actually maxed my Q when I jungled her, because you can just wave clear or clear the drone camps way quicker and then just gank anyways.
Really?
And
That's
yeah.
weird.
I always maxed...
You're so
long
much...
cooldown.
It doesn't really matter. I don't know, I liked it.
You only need one Q to clear a camp. But I still maxed E, but Q, like, did a lot of damage.
Yeah,
I always maxed W.
I always maxed E on lane and jungle. I just thought it was too good.
I don't know, I kind of like this change, because as Carl said, it opens up, like, the decision. Like, earlier you would just use it offensively all the time, and then just use your W after it or whatever. And now, I don't know. I like it.
I hate when they take damage off my favorite champion.
Well, it's theoretically the same amount of damage, because they increase the damage on the E.
I don't know, man. It's just, okay. Alright, let's move on to E. Alright, Savage Sweep, damage based increased by 5, and ratio increased by 10%. Duration of bleed decreased to 3 seconds, damage of bleed is unchanged. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but the slow is also tied to the duration of the bleed, right? Or is the slow its own separate entity?
I don't think they would change the duration of the slow.
No, the slow is 2 seconds.
Okay. So I like the change to E, just because I always maxed E, no matter what. Like, my skill path was always EW passive Q. because I always thought Q was just good for utility, and I only used it to gap close or run away. That was it. I felt the damage and like, you know, little tiny bit of slow you get from E was too good to pass up, especially in like the mid game where it was just so good. Smite was just really good, and the passive was better than Q for me. So I like E changes, but go ahead, Darky.
If you look at the duration of any damage over time, if they reduce the duration, it's actually a pretty significant buff because you have less health regen over a shorter amount of time.
Right.
So it's actually more damage.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I like it. Honestly, I didn't think Atomic Wonder Woman needed, like, you know, a little bit more damage on, like, E or anything. I was actually scared that she was going to get nerfed.
Yeah.
But
I don't think she even needed it.
I don't think she needed this buff at all. Maybe, go ahead.
I think she did need it. Like, she fell off really hard in late game. And
I
the
disagree with
ratio
that.
helps.
I mean, she's already top tier assassin, I think.
I think
it might not matter as much that she falls off late game if games keep ending in 35 or less minutes. So.
I don't know. Maybe.
Go ahead.
She's not that much different, so it's not a huge thing. So I'm not super worried about it. If she's too strong, then they'll nerf it. If she turns out to not be strong despite our expectations, then she can get another buff.
Right.
I don't think it really matters. We played her today. We'll play her again tomorrow, probably. You know.
Yeah. Okay.
Cheers.
All right. Moving on. Reclaimer cooldown increased from 140 to 145. 5 seconds. What the?
I think it still scales down, right?
I think so.
Because the in-game tooltip didn't change the cooldown timer, so I'm not sure.
Well, either way, I think it was just to compensate, hey, you're getting free CDR when you hit full rev, we're just going to increase it a little bit.
Yeah.
It's just kind of whatever. Like, when I saw this change, I was like, that doesn't matter at all. Especially when I can hit full rev 5 times, like, once I get my passive up, and then nothing changes. Anyway, Mecha Wonder Woman. Tempest. Damage increased by 60 at all ranks.
Necessary change for AD. No, for AD it was necessary, but
I like it.
For power damage...
power damage, she's even more broken.
Yeah, I think she's better power damage now.
I like the change, quality of life, the way they explained the change when they were making the change. Felt good to me with the change, and I don't know if I'm psyching myself out or if it actually is like impacting my games, but I feel like it's impacting my games. So
right,
I might just be in my head.
No, for AD, Mecha Wonder Woman's, it was a pretty necessary change.
Okay, so maybe we'll see more power damage Mecha Wonder Woman come in. That would be interesting. Though I still have nightmares of release Mecha Wonder Woman going full power damage and like two-shotting me, and Tempest just doing so much damage and penta-killing my team.
It's still pretty much the same.
Anyway.
One day the world will know.
Oh my god.
So much.
No, I don't wanna relive that, dude. I have PTSD.
It's not gonna happen on Gotham Divided though. Like the
it will
paths
happen.
Oh,
are way too big.
No, get out of here. Get out of here.
I will bring it back.
Anyway, Huntress's crossbow got buffed by, in my opinion, a lot.
Definitely.
So, they gave it some CDR, and at tiers 2 and 3 they gave it attack pen. And at tier 3 it's 20 attack pen. I've messed around with it, and you could do a lot of damage with it. It's kind of ridiculous.
It's basically Coda Blade 2.0.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like this item's probably a buff to Atomic Wonder Woman more than the actual changes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's who I've been getting this on. Like, I've been doing Coda and Huntresses, and I'm like, I do so much damage. I am a god. So...
I love flat penetration, and every time more flat penetration gets added into a game, I get hyped. So, flat penetration, I'm all for it when it comes in. Also, and they talked about this in the next change, but this is particularly good because it gives another AD option after they nerfed Soul Taker's Katana. It's another AD option for the late game that gives a lot of AD, but is not for people that are like auto attack champions, you know? Like JoJo's revolver has the most AD of any item in the game, or it did. And so people just bought it on champions that didn't need crit because it was the best late game option. Now there's another option that pretty much just gives offensive stats. Gives offensive stats, and it has a lot of AD, which is perfect. That's what an item niche that has been missing. Niche.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Do you think this item is too good, though, in its current state? Could it...
I think the fact that it stacks with other flat pen is kind of broken.
Should they just give it the deadly keyword, then? But, no?
I think people need to do more damage. I'm all in favor of people doing more damage. Like, this is coming from someone who primarily plays tanks. I mostly feel imbalanced all the time, and all my tanky champions get banned because I can't die. And I think people should do more damage.
That's why you just play Tank Robin.
I have been all week. You see me?
Building that Mega Rod?
No.
No.
I've been building the Huntress's crossbow.
Man. Alright, moving on to Joe Chills. Joe Chills is a core artifact in the builds of nearly all marksmen, blah 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 blah. But, as Achiri was saying, it was appealing to champions pursuing attack damage, even if they did not focus on basic attacks or want to crit. So, the damage went down on Joe Chills, and now it's 60 AD, which is as much as Huntress's crossbow, but it still gives 20 crit and deadly 2, so which is the 50% crit. Marksman will still build this item because that's what they scale with. I've been still building this item on like Atomic Wonder Woman, but I feel kind of, I don't know, just Huntress's crossbow with Coda Blade and Joe Chills makes me feel so dirty because I just do so much damage. What are you guys' thoughts on the Joe Chills changes?
I think it was necessary.
You think?
I think it was a little too cost efficient for what it gave. I mean, even with the mod, you still get 75% crit damage.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think this item is still viable.
I think they should have. I think they should have been bringing other items up to match it, though. I don't know. It's right now. What it is a random 10 damage nerf to 80 carries, which I don't know. What they need to do is make another item like this Huntress's crossbow. It's absolutely a step in the right direction that offers people an alternative to the Joe Chills revolver. People are buying the Joe Chills revolver because there isn't an alternative in the AD options. So if there was another good thing that gave a lot of AD and didn't have crit chance, but was just as cost effective, then people would buy it. I don't know.
I would still buy it on Doomsday.
I would still buy it on Doomsday.
Doomsday can get auto attacks in. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
No one can handle the knees.
I think people buy Joe Chills, like, I don't know. I buy it because I want to crit, and I want to see my crits do like a ton of damage. That's why I have, my deadly 3. So I don't know. It's just, I guess
if you want to crit, this is still the right item, and it should be the right item. That's what this is for. If you're a crit person and you're trying to crit, you should buy this item, and that's how it should be.
Okay. So Darky's just gonna step out for a second. Oh, right when we're getting to Atlantis Gambit, but it's fine. So Atlantis Gambit has been changed to appeal more to bruisers, offering attack armor and attack damage, while Atlantis Aura retains attack speed and attack lifesteal. Additionally, the targeting system active keyword is becoming stronger, with its healing scaling off the health of the attacker. So, they don't have the stats for the attack armor and attack damage, but the lifesteal on Tier 1 and Tier 2 are gone. And I forgot about that one game when I was playing Green Arrow, so I was, like, dying a lot. Anyway, what are you guys' thoughts on the changes? Do you guys, like, build this on your bruisers if they're AD, or do you guys just stick to, like, Oa Gambit or something?
It's really good. I think it's too good, but which is kind of strange. It's definitely weird to buy a GP10, but then its stats are also better than anything else you could purchase for that amount of money, which is how it is right now. If you buy for $250 for an Atlantis Gambit, you get 5 AD, you get 5 attack armor. That's more combat stats than you could buy for $250 any other way. Anyway, if you're an AD bruiser, it's an obvious choice. There's no other way you could do that. So it's kind of weird for it to be that way, and it's also sad that we had basically one lifesteal item that we were building, and it's gone now.
Yeah.
So that's also weird. So I'd say that all in all, I'm not a fan of this change, but also it made my champions better, so I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to say. I never built it. I didn't really build lifesteal on my marksman whenever I played them.
Really?
After the Soul Taker nerf, no. All I used is health packs and like 3% lifesteal augments. That's all I needed. Like, that's really all you need.
I don't know, I think like you need real lifesteal items. I don't think that Atlantis or Gambit was supposed to be like a lifesteal item. I think that Katana needs buff instead.
Now here's the thing. So when we first with these changes, I've seen more Katana being built. Is that what was needed to bring Katana into viability? Because the stats have not changed, but I feel like because the lifesteal was taken away from Atlantis, this is like the second best. This is the second best option, just because you have. What are the other lifesteal options? You have
Cheetah's Claw.
Cheetah's Claw, which,
that's it.
But you could also, when I clicked attack lifesteal in the store, there was like Atlantis Gambit, because that gives it at the aura. There's Soul Taker, which is, you know, weird, for lack of a better term. Yeah, you have Cheetah's Claw, and then I think Shade's Cane gives it. Because
I think it just gives power lifesteal.
I think it gives attack lifesteal as well.
It's a lifesteal at tier 3.
So, but the thing is, if I'm a Green Arrow, I don't want a Shade's Cane. I wanted that Atlantis Gambit lifesteal, but now I can't get it until I upgrade it, and even then, it's not that great.
I still think lifesteal is an unviable option. I don't know why people buy Katana. It's still bad.
Yeah. I mean, if you're insistent on needing lifesteal, I guess Katana's the way to go. But it's still bad, regardless. And Cheetah's Claw is terrible.
New Achiri, what do you have to say about lifesteal?
I don't know. I find it... Because I never liked lifesteal in the beginning because, like, even when I played AD, I didn't like taking the plus 8% lifesteal because I didn't feel like it was enough to sustain the way that you trade heavily in lane. Because even if somebody took something without lifesteal, the way they out-traded you was enough to make you go B, where you couldn't even sustain off of the minions anyways. So... And 8% was a lot back then, too, because I think that was one of the highest you could get for so cheap.
Yeah. Without
getting Katana, I think. So, I don't know. I didn't like lifesteal, and I thought, like, running lifesteal what do I say, augments, where I think those are good enough. I feel like more people are going to start running the lifesteal augments because, I don't know, I guess they feel the need to run lifesteal. But I mean, I see people running 5 potions all the time, and I don't like that in the first place, so if people really want lifesteal, then they're kind of screwed at the moment.
I don't think lifesteal on itself is bad, it's just that you need to go for the crit build to deal damage. Except for, like, Green Arrow.
I think lifesteal was, like, if you look at other games, lifesteal's not that bad. But, like, here, because you lifesteal off of, like, all of your physical damage, all of your attack damage, it's kind of problematic. And this is why, like, lifesteal Nightmare Batman used to be so good, because if you try to 1v1 him, he will beat you, because he will ult you and you can't damage him. He'll lifesteal, like, all of your damage back, and then it's like, great, I'm at half health, he's at full, how do I win this? So I think maybe lifesteal in this game could go through a little bit of, like, a rework, and maybe just work on basic attacks or something. I don't know, but just because of how lifesteal is, I don't think we can buff it too much. Old Achiri, we're talking about lifesteal. Do you have any thoughts?
I don't like lifesteal. So I'm glad that I'm glad that it's not a part of this game right now. So.
Okay. All right. So moving on. This is the last big change in the patch. Oh boy, the Mega Rod changes. So at tier 1, they're changing it to be a bruiser item. So attack speed is gone, and move speed and health regen are added. Shockwave keyword is increasing its flat splash damage and scales off bonus health. Finally, the Desperate Strength keyword is returning, finding its new home here on the new and improved Mega Rod. So, you guys can
really
look at
call
the
it
stats,
improved.
but that's the Mega Rod.
So I don't like health regen, much in the way that I don't like lifesteal. I don't like health regen. So this item, when I saw its change, I wasn't ready to jump on the bandwagon. There are people who have assured me that it's pretty good, and there are even some people who, before we tested it out, thought it was gonna like wreck the game and like break the meta. I don't think that's happened, so I'm glad. But I think it might have potential. Like he's built it today on against me on Doomsday.
Yeah,
and
I was talking about that because
he wasn't super weak. So, but it also didn't seem like it had a big impact. Right. So I think the jury's still out on Mega Rod. Though. I'm not going to build it.
Imagine like a week from now, everybody's crying, "Oh my God, Mega Rod's so OP!" And like a month ago, we would be like, "Who is this noob?" Like calling Mega Rod OP.
For 3250, I don't think it really gives you the stats that you desire. Like Hunter's Crossbow costs the exact same, and you would wreck people if you just bought that instead. I don't think the health regen and the move speed is gonna save you from that.
I think this item's like a niche item on like Atrocitus or tanky single target champions, like who wanna have the ability to split push. The Desperate Strength I think works better for assassins that lose more health than tanky champions, because you gain more AD from it quickly, but on the other side you die more quickly, so I don't know. I don't really see anyone except like tanky single target champs buying this, and even on them I'm not really sure if it's worth it.
I haven't tried it out. I looked at the stats and I was like, I still don't know, because it still seems like the noob trap item. So like we all know about the gas spats who, just started playing that day and they rushed the recommended, so it'll be like Mega Rod and Lobos. and you'll just see them with their shockwave, and it's like, ugh. But I don't know.
I mean, it is on a tank. It is a lot of AD because as a tank, you can kind of sit there at 50% HP and still be hitting people without having to run away at that point. Like you don't really have to start running away until you have like 20 to 10% HP. So that is another, 20 AD that you have to add on top of the effective or the base AD on the item that's you're going to be utilizing in a team fight. But at the same time, I don't know. Jury's still out, I will say.
I just don't see building it over any other item.
I personally don't, but I trust the people who say that they do. So I'm going to wait.
We did see Ease build it as a second item. So
yeah, I don't think it's any worth it on Doomsday.
He also lost lane.
Come on, who is he against?
I don't know. I'm still kind of I'm with the Cherry. Jury is still out. Darky, have you seen it being built in like EU or anything?
Yeah, I think it was Teaswork. He said it's gonna break the meta. It's gonna make Batman Prime OP. And when he played it, he won the lane, but after that he was still useless. So
Prime always
doesn't
wins
change anything. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't see this item like breaking meta.
I just can't wait for the day where Mega Rod is the most broken item in the game, just so I can reflect on the days where it was one of the worst items in the game. Alright, so let's move on from that. So we've got the September preview. This is the responsiveness stream that they did, Turbine. So you guys can't see it in the Skype call, but on the stream there's like a video of the VOD of the Q&A. It's Leo and Icy Hakai, and it just showed off like through various like on-screen examples, how much smoother some of the animations are, and like how more fluid like movement is, and yada yada yada. So what did you guys think of this? And there's like a whole news post on the Infinite Crisis website that has like lots of text detailing what has happened, what they are doing come September.
Well, I'm gonna get in quick because I didn't watch the whole thing, and
right.
Other people might have. But the only thing I have to say about it is, personally, I don't really care about smoothness that much. I'll play a game however smooth it is. Like it's smooth enough for me. It'll make some of my champions better, which is cool. It's better for new players, which is really good. Great, huge plus for that. In terms of the actual video itself, I felt like it was the best run Q&A we had yet from the devs. It was really well done. From start to finish, they had the graphics, they transitioned smoothly, and I felt like everything was really, really well explained. I really, really liked it just from watching the presentation perspective. But other than that, I don't really care.
While you say it was like one of the most smoothly run, like leading up to it, they had a lot of problems like getting the stream to start and stuff. So like they had to call Twitch, and then like Twitch had to step in and try and fix the stream, and it was just
but that was on Twitch part.
Yeah,
like a lot of streams weren't.
It was still kind of like. I just thought it was kind of funny when Achiri was like, "Oh, it was like really smoothly run," and then like the 20 minutes leading up to it, they were like panicking, like, "Why can't we get our stream to start?" And everybody's like, "Where's the Q&A?"
Double kudos to them then for recovering so well.
Darky, Nick, anything?
Well, I think that's pretty much what we hoped for. I feel like a lot of it, we're going over a lot of just cosmetic changes.
Right.
And I don't know how much it's actually going to feel different, more smooth. But it's good that they said it wasn't like the only thing they were doing. They were going to continue to work on it.
Right.
And I also liked the graphic changes they showed with the videos. And also that new Gasbat profile, the character portrait.
So it's really gonna buff champions like Green Lantern, who just burst with their rotation, and they'll have to look at these changes after that. So, but it's still something we all, or most of us, wanted.
Every time they have a Q&A or they show something from the September patch, I get like more and more excited because like I don't know, I love this game and I want to keep playing it, and then like they show me, oh, this is so much smoother, oh, this is like so nice looking. I'm like, oh, just give it to me already. Like, please just release it now. I don't care. So I can't wait for the September patch. I don't know, I consider me super hyped.
Been before it's filled with bugs from a year ago.
You know what? I'm okay if it's filled with bugs because they are changing pretty much everything about the game. So as long as they squash the bugs, though, then it'll be fine.
As far as the September patch goes, Darky and I are under NDA, so we're both kind of like,
Ooh. Ooh. Wow.
So is that kind of...
You guys are cool. You guys are cool.
Does that kind of break the NDA by saying that you're under NDA?
No.
Are you allowed to talk about the existence of the NDA?
Yeah.
Because if you didn't say that, no one would even know.
Watch as the Turbine Police just storm in through Achiri's door, and they're like, "You talked about the NDA. We must kill you."
Darky and I are just like sitting here very quiet while this conversation's going on because we can't really say anything.
Alright, so if you guys want to read...
I've heard some stuff.
I know. I haven't heard anything, so...
That sucks.
Yeah. I don't have enough connections, I guess, that want to
My
make it...
connection is in Japan now, so I guess...
Oh, rip. Alright, so if you guys want to read all of the stuff, it's on the website. It's a lot of text. The video shown here is probably a lot better, because there's, like, examples on the screen that you can, like, see. But... moving on, so we're gonna talk about Gotham Heights Ranked. I was not participating in this because I was away for that weekend, but I saw a lot of tweets about Gotham Heights Ranked, so let's discuss it. So,
I also didn't participate in it.
Oh, you didn't participate in it?
I played 3 games, so...
Not because I was away, but because I hate Gotham Heights.
Alright. Achiri, did you play it?
Of course I played it. It was awesome. Okay, so I really like numbers. I'm like addicted to numbers. Right. So when they gave me an opportunity to have a number, I was really hyped. The first day I played a lot, and I was like the highest elo until I'm Going Pro started playing, and he just took all of my elo, and then. And then I pretty much didn't play for the rest of the weekend, so I ended somewhere like 14th or something overall, and I was like, whatever, but I thought it was really cool. I thought it was really fun. A lot of people really enjoyed it. Some people were mad, but that's what happens when you give people numbers, is people get mad. And so, I don't know. I had fun. It was cute. And also, Team C had more people in the top 30 elo than any other team, including all the Gotham Heights teams.
Team C best Gotham Heights team ever?
Maybe. That's what it seems like.
Stats don't lie.
They don't.
It's like Complexity's gonna need to come out of retirement.
Ooh. They used to be really good on Heights. Used to be really good.
Yeah. Pretty trash on Gotham Divided, though.
Ooh.
Kappa.
Ooh. Darky, how are your 3 games?
As I expected them to be.
Did you lose
a lot
all
of
3?
A lot of noobs. I don't know. I didn't like it. But that's also because I don't like Gotham Heights, so whatever.
Okay. So Turbine, I think, has an agenda against me playing ranked, because every time they announce a ranked weekend, I am away from my computer and have no way of playing Infinite Crisis or streaming it. So, like, I was I was gone that weekend because of like a personal issue, and they were like, "Oh, it's Heights, like ranked weekend." I'm like, "Dang it, I want to play ranked Heights." And back in December when they were like, "Oh, ranked Coast City," I was like, "Dang it, I want to play ranked Coast City," because like I'm with Achiri. I like having a number because it quantifies how good I am at a particular thing. So like, if I am, random number 1500, I am better than people who are 1499 and below.
Like I said on Twitter, your number is quantifiable by how many minutes you sit in queue without getting a game. The higher the timer is, the higher your elo is.
But that's like that. Well, that's painfully true. It's still like, what if 9 people or like 10 people, all of the similar elo, all queue together at the same time? So like, let's say like all of Team C and then all of Brawl queue at the same time. That queue should pop pretty quickly, right?
Should, unless one of them is bad and then they won't get into a game.
So because that queue pops quickly, that means, because they didn't wait 40 minutes in queue, that means that they're obviously terrible at this game.
Well, Play to Win's elo was like garbage, so.
So, I don't know. I want to see a number that tells me how good I am, because I love numbers.
You're number 1, Cal.
Oh.
Well, technically, that's pretty low, so...
If I were...
Shout out to Generic, who got number 1. He's from Knights of Heights, who got number 1 on the NA server. Because I talked trash to him. I was like, oh yeah, or I talked trash to the Knights of Heights. I was talking to David. How about how I was going to do it, and then I didn't play except for the first day, and I got wrecked.
Right.
But not only did he get first, he destroyed everyone. He was like 50 elo higher than everyone else, and like no one was even getting games, so it's like crazy that he did that. He just basically didn't lose. He's really good. Shout out to him.
How do you know it? Did you ask like for like the rankings and stuff, or is it?
It's on the forums.
Posted them on the forums.
It's on the forums? I didn't see that.
Yeah, I'll just link it.
All right, I want to see it. Okay. So I think we're done with Gotham Heights.
I see Too Quiet was actually in the top 15.
Yep.
Well, that's cool.
The only Turbine employee.
Okay. Are we done with the Gotham Heights discussion? Because I feel like there's not much more to discuss.
I think so. I think the fact that they opened it to level 10 and above was bad. From what I've saw on Twitter of everyone complaining.
I disagree, but it's fine.
Okay.
I think it was also kind of like a test to like see if they had like the population for ranked above a certain level and stuff. So I don't know. Turbine acts in mysterious ways. So they do what they please. So now we will be moving on. NA ESL race for 4th for Burbank. So I haven't been keeping up on this because I am not one of those people racing for 4th place. But
I mean, you are casting.
I am casting, so I should know this.
You should.
I should. I really should. And it's bad that I don't. But so from talking with Nick, who knows a lot more about this than I do, it seems that Justice, Reason Gaming, Flipside, and Surreal are all in this kind of race for 4th to go to Burbank.
Which is mostly decided now, but yes.
It's mostly decided now, so it's most likely going to be Surreal going to Burbank. Then.
It's just between Surreal and Reason now, I think. Or it might be that Surreal has it locked up.
Because I think Flipside are still making.
Yes, mathematically it is possible for both of them to win them.
Okay, so leading up to Burbank, we have 1, 2, 3. We have 3 IC Cups left. Do the monthly finals count towards it?
No, and there's only one.
Yeah, there's only one.
There's only one? Oh,
Yep.
next weekend's the last one?
Yep.
Okay. So I was just counting Sundays. Anyway, we've got 3 weeks, or 3.5, whatever, weeks until Burbank. So it's... Alright, so let's go over all of the possibilities, because I'm still, like, trying to wrap my head.
Well, yeah, if you'll let me monologue.
Well,
I've done a lot of this.
The floor is yours.
Okay.
The floor is yours.
May I start back when they announced Burbank?
Dude,
Because that's where it starts to get juicy.
yours. The floor is yours.
Okay.
This is your podium. You may speak to the people. We will listen, and I will probably ask questions when I feel like they're necessary. But it's your floor.
So I love this because this storyline is actually so sick. And the NA scene, like, we're not a huge scene compared to other scenes, but the NA scene for IC and this race to get to Burbank has actually been so hype if you've been following. So they announced Burbank, right? It was like it was just at the beginning of July, like a Wednesday in the first week of July or the second week of July. That previous Sunday, all right, had already set the stage for a very interesting setup because Justice had gotten second place in that ESL, which gave them a bunch of points, yes, and put them in the running with the other teams who had a bunch of points, but also set up the rest of the month. So at that point, when Burbank was announced, the teams that we had in the running were the same as the teams we had now, only because Justice won that week, or got second that week. So we were talking about Justice, we're talking about Immortals, we're talking about Flipside, and we're talking about Surreal. The interesting thing to note there is that the points that Flipside and Immortals had, both Immortals now known as Reason Gaming, and Flipside then known as Conviction, the points that they had accrued weren't all specifically that they had gotten top 8 every time, but it should be noted that their points totals were equivalent to if they had gotten just top 8 every single week, right? Which isn't not impressive, right? I don't want to step on anyone's toes, but at the same time, there are basically 7 teams that we're talking about right now being like legitimate contenders in NA. So the points that Flipside and Reason Gaming had accrued up until this point pretty much were just like top 8 finishes every week, really consistent, right? Which is good. That's what you want to get to the finals. But it also meant that Surreal Gaming wasn't out of hope, and neither was Justice, because Justice had random flashes of brilliance where they would do very well, like the ESL that happened just prior to the announcement. So what it meant was that basically for the rest of the month, Justice was on the opposite side of the bracket from both Curse, Brawl, and sometimes Team C, because in that first week, Curse, Team C, and Brawl were all hit each other in like the first, like the team. Those 3 teams are probably the best ones in NA. I don't know, maybe not. You could argue it, but
right.
They were all hit. We hit each other like it was Curse C in like the round of 8, and then Brawl C in the round of 4, and it was so like the other side of the bracket was like wide open, right? Mm-hmm. And what that meant was that Justice had like this like easier path to the finals over and over again. But then they lost to Light Esports, who isn't they disbanded since then. They haven't been playing, and at that time they were a new team. So you can kind of fault Justice there. If Justice had won 2 games against Light Esports, they would easily be far out in the lead. They'd be well in this discussion now, which they're kind of not anymore, and I'll get to that. But after having this easy bracket set up for them, basically by sheer luck, right? Some good play, but mostly by luck. Justice, formerly KGB, they had a great run, but they ended up losing to Light Esports in not 1 but 2 ESL Cups in a row. And that set them back about 50 ESL ranking points, which is currently the difference between them and 4th place. Now, that wasn't really the end of the story. One of the most important parts of the story, I think, is ESL Cup Cup 10, I think. Is that the first one for August?
Well, we're in 13 right now,
we're in 13 this week, so if we go...
I believe 10 is the first
one.
one.
Yeah, 10 was
the first one of August.
So 10 was huge, right? Because prior to 10, Surreal Gaming for the entire month of July was 100 points behind Flipside, which Flipside was solidly in 4th place.
Right.
Immortals was just behind them, 10 points behind them, and Surreal Gaming was 100 points behind them. And there was this gap that wasn't closing at all. Surreal kept losing in the same round that Flipside and Immortals were, and it wasn't their fault. Like, they were just getting tough matchups. But then in this Go For Cup, this one, they broke out and they beat Curse, and then they beat Brawl in the finals.
Right.
And that gave them a huge 60-point bump.
All thanks to Crashy.
I guess all thanks to Crashy. Also, that weekend, I think Brawl had a sub and Curse was running with 2 subs. So it was fortuitous, but they earned it. All right. So they get up there, and now with that 100-point victory from winning that Go For Cup, they go from being 100 points down, as they had been for a month, to being just 40 points down. And perhaps just as importantly, they set themselves up to be the first seed for the month, which has been a bye or one of the weaker teams that hasn't really won any Go For competition for the entire month. And they're still number 1 for this month, I believe, because they either get a bye or no offense to anyone, but an easier matchup for the round 1. So they've always won their round 1, and then they've also had, I think, 1 round 2 victory as well, which has set them up to maintain their first place spot and always be gaining enough points that it's very difficult for another team to gain on. Now, with that being said, they still had to actually finish closing that gap of the last 40 points, which could have been stopped. Flipside and the matchups for this entire month, interestingly enough, have been the same. The rankings have changed, but the first round matchups have always been the same. It's been Surreal against an unknown or bye team, and then Curse against Flipside, Brawl against Justice, and Team C against Immortals. And any of those teams managing to win their first round matchups enough of the weeks would result, the lower teams, would result in them being able to maintain their lead on Surreal. But instead of that, let's say, let me say first that actually for the first week, that did happen. And there was a large ray of hope. Justice did beat Brawl in the very next Go For Cup in the first round, which was a pretty unexpected and good upset for them. And they actually were winning their second round game against Curse, which if they had won, that also would have propelled them into a very favorable position, but ended up losing that game eventually to Curse. And meanwhile, Surreal actually managed to win that second round matchup against Team C after Team C and Curse did their switcheroo, the roster changes.
Is this the first switcheroo or the second switcheroo?
That was the second switcheroo. That was the re-switcheroo.
Okay.
And I was playing support that week. If you guys saw it, it was like a disaster.
I remember that. That was terrible.
Yeah. So that game was also extremely fortuitous for Surreal Gaming, right? They get a weakened version of Team C, and then Justice, as much as they miraculously managed to beat Brawl, and they're winning against Curse, but they ended up losing to Curse, right? So that's like really good for Surreal. And then, nevertheless, the hopes were still alive for the next Go For competition, for Go For Cup 12. The hopes for the other teams are still alive. Surreal has closed the gap, and I believe they're actually in 4th place now by 5 points for Go For Cup 12. But what ends up happening is that everything goes according to seed, or almost according to seed, and the other teams don't gain any points on Surreal. In fact, they lose points because Surreal gets a first round bye,
Right.
or they beat Green Donut Core or something like that. And then everyone else loses their first round matchup. But it still would have been really, Flipside in particular, would have been able to control their own destiny if Curse had beaten Brawl. Because that would have changed the first round matchups around so that Surreal Gaming would no longer be first for the month. And that first spot is so important because it ensures that they don't have a worthy opponent for the first round.
Right.
It means they're getting 60 points every week instead of 40 points, which is huge in this race that's decided by like maybe 5 points, right? But in fact, that week Brawl beats Curse, so now Curse doesn't pass Surreal Gaming for first place points, which doesn't set up the Flipside Surreal first round matchup. And then this week, the hope is still alive, okay? If any of the teams can manage to get to the semifinals and Surreal Gaming loses at least in the semifinals, then the dream is still alive for these other teams. All of them. We're talking about Reason Gaming, Justice, and Flipside still. But that doesn't manage to happen. And it would still be alive mathematically for Justice if Brawl ends up winning today's Infinite Crisis Go For Cup, because that would change the rankings again so that Brawl was first place, bumping Surreal down to second place, and allowing the first round matchup between Flipside and Surreal. But since that doesn't happen, now Justice is mathematically eliminated. And the only way for Reason Gaming or for Flipside Tactics to get to Burbank is for them to next week win the cup, and Surreal has to lose in the second round to whoever they're facing. It's probably going to be C or maybe Curse. I'm not sure how the points will work out. But C or Curse in the second round for them.
So
that was the longest monologue ever.
I'm sorry. It's like really, and there was stuff I didn't even mention, like more roster changes. Like Justice picked up Swaggertron33 in the top lane, who did work in Go For Cup number 10. He went like 8-2 in both games against Brawl and Curse on Superman against Ease and Blue Freeze, like arguably the two best top laners in NA. You know, like extremely solid top lane play, and like that was an area where Justice had been lacking if you had been watching their games previously.
So basically, fourth place is just...
It's locked up now, pretty much.
It's pretty much locked up? Okay.
There's like a 1% chance that Surreal goes down in the semis, and then in the... and then one other team has a chance to try to get through to the finals. And if they win the whole cup, then they could pass them.
It's the dream, dude.
It's the dream.
You gotta want
it. As unlikely as it seemed, though, like a month and a half ago, it seems like we're probably going to see Surreal going to Burbank, which we didn't think it was going to happen. They were down 100 points, and for a month, they didn't close the gap at all. People were writing them off.
Yeah.
But that Crashy pickup, though.
The Crashy pickup, it did work with him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, no offense to Crashy. I was honestly surprised. Like, I didn't think that change would like propel them to first place so many times.
Well, it wasn't just the Crashy pickup. They kicked Darkseth. I don't know if you guys remember Darkseth. Yeah. But they kicked Darkseth, and that resulted in Ambuscade also leaving the team. So
apparently Ambuscade got hit by a car.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
I did not know that either.
They just told me that he went MIA and never came back. But wow, that's unfortunate.
I mean, I think getting hit by a car will do that to you.
Yeah, for sure. But that's two roster spots that they then filled really well.
Right.
With Azure Fire and Crashy. More than anything, I would think the Azure Fire pickup was huge for them.
Yeah, I agree with that. So the top 3 are locked in. Do we know what order they're locked in at? Is it like Brawl Curse C, or is it?
Curse is still in front of Brawl a little bit. I believe that can change. I think. Well, let's see. Curse is in front of Brawl by 5 points after today.
Okay.
So that could change next week.
Right.
But C is definitely third.
Mm-hmm.
And then depending on the results next week, we'll see Brawl and Curse take
Right.
1 and 2. And then 4 is probably Surreal Gaming, barring some Cinderella story for folks.
Like, all right, so I really like Crashy. Crashy is like one of my best friends in the scene. But I'm gonna just say right now, if the Cinderella story does happen, then I am going to be super hyped.
And everyone's gonna blame Crashy? What is that?
I would be.
I don't know. Like, I have nothing against Surreal. Like, I have literally nothing against Surreal. I think Maestro is the best top laner in NA right now. Like, that is me.
Wow. Woo! Shots fired.
Woo! Sorry, birthday boy.
Wow.
But I think I legitimately think Maestro is the best top laner in NA right now. But if the Cinderella story happens, I am going to be super excited. And I think that'll cause, like, I don't know, it'll just, like, be a... Like, it'll just get the whole scene kind of hyped. So I kind of want to see it happen. Even though the likelihood of it is very, very small.
Yeah.
So that's just me personally.
I would
Darky, tell us about the exciting EU scene.
Yeah.
Navi and
know.
Dignitas win the cups. Sometimes Dig wins like 2 weeks in a row, and then they give it to Navi. And then there's that other team that wins like occasionally. Right?
Which,
Did I just sum up the EU scene?
no, there's no other team that wins.
Oh, there isn't? I swear there
No.
was like there's this team that I always see get like third place.
There was one cup
Cumless?
which we
Or,
didn't win, and that was because we were DreamHack. So
Well, you mean the monthly cup?
no,
No, DreamHack.
The week.
it was
They
No.
destroyed DreamHack.
there was no cup in which either Navi or us didn't win. So
Okay.
except for the one we were DreamHack.
So did I sum up the EU scene really well though? Dignitas
Yeah.
wins, Navi wins, nobody else wins.
Yes, exactly.
It's a great scene. It's very
We've had 4
Well,
different winners for the Go For Cups in NA. 4 different.
yeah.
And those ones are likely going to be the 4 that are at Burbank. So it's hard to argue with that. I might argue that Justice is the 4th best team at the moment, but we're definitely going to have 4 really good teams at Burbank, which I'm hyped about. Because some people were worried that that's not what was going to happen. I think that is what's going to happen.
I'm excited for Burbank.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
I think it's really any of the 4 teams' game to take. Like, there's going to be a clear underdog. Whoever gets the 4th spot is going to be the underdog, probably. But I think any of the 4 teams could reasonably take the tournament. So.
I don't know. I'm just looking forward to Burbank just because I'm in driving distance. So I'll be driving up the what's it called? The day of the tournament or whatever. And then I'll be hanging out there potentially. I don't know. Maybe they'll let me in. Maybe they'll just think I'm crazy and don't know who I am. But I don't know. I plan on being at Burbank on the 20th, so definitely looking forward to seeing most of the Brawl guys again, some of the Curse guys, meeting Team C, and whoever gets 4th place. So definitely pumped for Burbank. Anybody have anything to add about the 4th place race?
Surreal hype.
Surreal hype. Nick?
I think all that's been said has been said in that monologue. The monologue summed it up.
Alright. Oh my god. The Cinderella story, please. Please. As much as I like cereal, please let the Cinderella story come true. Alright, so I think that's it for the podcast. We're gonna just do some shoutouts and stuff. So let's start with Achiri, because it's his birthday.
Shout out to everyone who gave me birthday well wishes today. Thank you very much to all you guys. Extra huge, super duper shout out to Andrew Sotura Mamari from Team C, who let me take his place on the podcast today since it's my birthday. I love you. Oh my God, you're amazing. Shout out to everyone on Team C for winning today. Oh my gosh, that was great. Today was the first day we actually had the whole new Team C roster lineup in all of our correct roles, and then we won, so that's great. And shout out as well to Water Lily 716. If you have curly hair, go check out her YouTube channel.
All right. Okay. All right, let's go, Darky.
Shout out to my team for winning today as well, and all the sponsors, and Crashy for making his team play worse.
Causing his lanes to feed.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you sure you don't want to list off all your sponsors individually?
Oh man, you got like...
Do you want this to end, or...?
I don't even know all the dig sponsors. I know Intel. Boom.
I mean, there are no Nissan, but I guess.
Yeah. Come on. Alright, Nick.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, shout out to my team, which has done so well. And none of these go for ICs. The team that I'm not on.
Well, Nick, you've subbed for C and for Curse, right?
I haven't subbed
Or
for Curse.
Not for
Wait,
Curse? Or
so
CC?
is
Shout
C
out
and
to Nick
Curse
for
not
subbing.
the same team?
No.
Oh,
Team C has no
two
sponsors.
They're basically like interbred or whatever.
We're friends from before IC. So.
In before another roster swap.
Yeah. It's gonna happen.
Could happen. I'm
Maybe
telling you.
maybe next season.
Alright. You have any more shoutouts, Nick? Or is...
No, but I will say, I know you challenged me to that ALS ice bucket thing.
I also challenged Achiri.
Yeah.
What?
I didn't,
Yeah, I
I'm gonna
did.
say I didn't do it.
Wait, when?
I'm just
When?
I
throwing that out
challenged
there.
you... Alright, when did Crashy challenge me? Because Crashy challenged me... No,
You
Crashy challenged me
challenged-
Thursday.
Yeah.
I went out on Friday and did it. And I couldn't find Achiri's Twitter. Because I, like, tagged everybody on Twitter. So... Yeah.
What?
I did. I challenged you, dude.
I did not receive this challenge. This is crazy.
I did. I challenged Nick, too. So
Wait,
didn't
did you
do it.
tag me? You tagged me in
I
a tweet?
tagged at Curse Cow, but that wasn't...
Oh,
active
see, that's
anymore.
not my handle.
Yeah,
That doesn't
because I
count.
didn't know what your handle was. Because
My
I just...
handle is at Team C Cow. Alright, guys?
Yeah, now I know, dude. Now I know.
I didn't do it for a couple of reasons, though. One, because I was at work all weekend. Two, because I realized I don't even have any ice in my house.
You buy ice, dude.
Why would I go to the store to
Yeah.
buy ice?
Because you
Exactly.
don't have any ice?
But
Well, then you take water and put it in the freezer.
Yeah, you could put your...
then I'll just
yeah, water
dump
in
a
the freezer.
block of ice on my head.
No, and then you put it in your
can
bucket
crush
after
it,
it freezes,
but-
and then you can, like, crush it and then put your water in.
That's way too much work.
Come on,
Yeah,
dude.
that's
I challenged
exactly
you.
why I didn't do mine yet.
I challenged you. gotta do it.
Challenge
I didn't-
denied?
Can't do that. Like, Crashy challenged me, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna...
Oh my God.
Oh my god. Oh my god. It's
Don't
the
get it
Ice
up,
Cup
you
Challenge.
Alright. ALS Ice Cup Challenge.
Oh my god.
Oh,
Oh my god.
Fucking hell, dude. Alright.
Okay.
I'm gonna go change.
All right.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, no prob. Oh my god. I can't believe that just happened.
So he's got some ice stuck in his afro.
Oh my god, I can't believe that just happened. Alright, so, I guess I'll do my shoutouts. Shoutouts to everybody in the chat, everybody who watched Podcast Prime. Thank you so much. Shout out to Darky, Nick, and Achiri. I know Achiri can't hear me, but thank you guys for coming on. Shout out to Crashy, because he challenged me to do the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. So there's that. You can watch the video of it on the Podcast Prime YouTube channel, which is somewhere. If you just like YouTube Podcast Prime, you can like see it. And then I think that's pretty much it. Shout out to Turbine for giving us a game to make a podcast of and talk about. And shout out to Achiri especially because it's his birthday. So happy birthday, buddy. And yeah, that's it.
Happy early birthday to Cal. Everyone, Cal's birthday is tomorrow, so give him a shout out for his birthday as well.
Yes. So yeah, I think that's it for the podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys, and look for the VOD on YouTube in a couple of hours.